All right, hopefully you guys still care about this video. Hi everyone! So I am finally getting around to the mid-year book freakout tag. I must confess, I hate the name of this video, but it is a fun tag. So we're just gonna henceforth know it as the mid-year book check-in. That sounds better. But nonetheless, I am using the questions and the prompts from that tag. I will put them in the description box below in case you haven't done it for some reason. Although I feel like I'm the last person to get to this one because I haven't been filming lately. Whoops. Anyway, just a couple things on formatting and then a word of warning. So I am not going to be going into a ton of depth about the books. I might do like a really super high level overview, but in general, I'm not going to be talking too much about them because this video is going to be fucking long without me rambling about the books in the normal depth that I go into and then talking about how much I love them, I hate them, I was disappointed with them, that sort of thing. There's that. The word of warning. The thing I must warn you about. Seattle's going through a disgusting heat wave right now. It is currently 90 degrees in my house. I'm sweating everywhere, and we're just gonna have to deal with the consequences of that. So I'm gonna get shiny. I'm probably a little bit delirious, and I apologize in advance. Now that I've rambled a whole bunch, should we jump into the prompts? All right, so first one is absolutely my favorite prompt ever. It's the best books you've read so far this year. And you guys, I have a surprise for you because I have not talked about this book yet. It's coming in my July wrap up. If this is not my top read of the year, that book that has, I was gonna say surpassed it, must be incredible because I'm still reeling from reading this book. Should I grab it? Should I grab it? Because I already bought myself a physical copy. It's Fearless by Lauren Gilley. This is Motorcycle Club, it's age gap, it's forbidden romance. Basically, the hero used to be the bodyguard for the heroine and her mom when there was like a motorcycle club war kind of going on when she was younger. Oh, but it's so much more than that. This one, okay, my only thing with this is that this is like Mariana Zapata levels of slow. It's a thick one. So I think it's kind of understandable from a pacing standpoint. That is like really my only major critique about this book. This is as close to perfection to me as you can possibly get, because even though the start was slow, I still was enthralled with these characters. Did I think it was perfection at the beginning? Absolutely not. I had many friends tell me this is such a perfect book. I was waiting for that to happen, and then it was like 20% in, I was like, oh yeah, I get it now. I'm on board. I'm with y'all. This is just some of the absolute best character work I have read in such a long time. The idea that these characters are not alive and out there walking around as human people is insane to me. Like, it makes me feel a little bit sick actually thinking about that for too long, so I'm not going to continue to do that. This is one of these books that I actually, other than the slow start, I will not hear criticism about. Like, normally I can get on board with people being like, I didn't like this or that. This book, this is not a safe space for you to talk shit about this book. Oh my god, I love it. The last time I felt like this attached to a book was Did They Break You by KV Rose, which was over a year ago. So I only get a couple of these a year, maybe. Like I said, it's the character work. They are complicated, nuanced characters where if I describe them kind of at the outset, they sound like characters that you've seen before, and I promise you haven't. So like Ava is raised by the MC, her family wants better for her, so they're kind of like pushing her out of the MC a little bit, where they're like, go to college, find a nice college boy, and yet she feels most at home in the MC because that's who she grew up around, is these like rough and tumble guys. Her dad taught her to shoot, she knows how to ride a motorcycle, she can keep up with the boys, but at the same time she's like, I want to get married and I want to be a mother and I want to be graduate level educated on literature. I want to be a writer. And she just has so many facets to her that are both like feminine, but also tough. And then the hero is dangerous. He is the fixer, if you know what I'm saying. For the MC, he's dangerous, but he's also got a little bit of like playfulness to him. He's a little bit of a joker, but not in an like overly humorous way. He's still a very tough biker, but they also refer to him as the Jolly Cajun. So like, you know what I'm saying? These are very complicated characters, and I feel like even my descriptions of them are not doing them justice. Like, I don't feel like I'm portraying them correctly. I'm like, I just need you to read the book so you can understand. And then this had even more texture than just those two characters, because this is like a family epic. So the heroine's parents also get POVs, and I'm like, where's their book? Because I'm just as invested in them as I am the main couple, and I love her brother and his friend Tango, so where are their books? And also, who's that freak Michael over over there because I want to know about him, and thank God his book's next. And I really liked that the age gap, they took it seriously. There was some social consequences to it, but they didn't harp on it so much where it started to get like a little bit pervy. And then the writing on this, like Lauren Gilley can just write incredible description that feel very rich without being overly flowery. They just give you such a sense of where you are, who you're with, the point in time. I wanted every pastry that she was talking about, every meal that the family was cooking. I was there for family dinner. Like I said, it does have a slow start, but I think proportional to the book, it's perfect because it is in that kind of like first 20% that it moves slow. And then after that, oh, you're in. There are multiple points of action throughout this book. It is just so good and has a perfect amount of come down time. It doesn't just like drop you off after the third act and being like, anyways, so they were good after that. It gives you time for everyone to go through repair. I love this book. I love, love, love this book with my whole ass, my whole being. It's so good. It is so worth the page length, which is not something I often say. Most of the time I'm like, it was a little bit bloated. Not this bad boy. So freaking good. Okay, I promise I'll be a little bit more brief with the other ones. I just like really needed to gush about that one. So the next one that I have as like best book is Warprize by Elizabeth Vaughan. I have been looking for a barbarian fantasy romance for a hot minute. I love the clashing of cultures. I love that it had like a little bit of a captor-captive element. The heroine really knows how to play to her strengths, even though she doesn't have a lot of like physical prowess, and knows how to pick her battles and be strategic with what she can do politically. And the author did such a great job building these two up, their relationship, their intimacy, that sense of it's the both of them against everybody else, because pretty much everyone has it out for them for political reasons, and you have to even question their allies. There's just so much going on with the politics of this. The intimacy is built up so well. The chemistry is built up so well with very little page time. Like they just had such an incredible connection. I like love these two. Oh, speaking of good connections, one that I read much earlier this year, and if you haven't read it, let me remind you about this book. It's Cruel Summer by C.W. Farnsworth. C.W. Farnsworth is my favorite contemporary author. If she's writing it, I'm picking it up. I can't wait for her next release. We'll get into that in a little bit because that's coming up too. This one is like a summer romance. It's opposites attract. It's coming of age. It's right person, wrong time. There's just so much angst and tension. It's got that like a little bit of a love letter to whiskey, or kind of like coming together and then breaking up, and it's just we can't get our timing right. And that kind of like temporary summer fling and that aimlessness of summer, of like going to parties and kind of working your summer job and being a little bit hungover, and then your parents need you to go to this thing. Whoa. You can see the things that are going to pull them apart coming. They even know that they're coming, and yet they just cling to the relationship. They want it to work out this time so bad, and yet they find their way back to each other. The chemistry between these two is so palpable. And also, C.W. Farnsworth can write a really good spicy scene. I think in pretty much every single one of her books, there's at least one scene where I'm like, whoa, that was a good scene. That was a really good scene. So if you haven't read that one already, highly recommend as a summer read, because like, I mean, it's literally called Cruel Summer. So there's that. This is my last favorite, okay, I promise. I have the Firebird Chronicles series. So sci-fi space opera. It's like Kate Daniels took place in space. So this one, I think, just has two elements that are incredible. The plotting. It is amazing to me. There's like things that you kind of pick up on earlier in the series, book 2, book 3, and then it comes back in book 5 and you're like, oh my God, that's what that was about. She so clearly had this plotted out. Every time you think you're taking a detour, it feeds into the plot, and then it has the most spectacular slow burn romance. There is almost a whisper, a mouse fart of romance in that first book, where you're kind of like, well, there's some kind of tension going on over there. And then you start getting into the later books, and this hero is edible. He's one of those heroes that he is very strong, very capable, brutal warrior, made it very high up, very young, and yet he recognizes his equal in the heroine. He has her back until she needs him. And then he will step in and he will sacrifice himself to make sure that she is okay. Oh, he's big, bad, and broody, and I love him so much, Your Honor. So those are my 4 favorites, which is kind of cheating because I did also just throw a 5-book series in there, but it's fine. It's fine. You have so many options to choose from. Okay, next up we have, I have to get this one off my shelf. Next up, we have best sequel that you've read. The first one, obviously, The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. This is the sequel to When the Moon Hatched. It just came out. I adored this this book. I love Con. He is forever #1 book boyfriend in my heart of hearts. He is just down bad for his woman so much. He loves her so much. And in this book, oh my gosh, the heroine finally starts to maybe realize that she can accept it. The politics in the world continue to open up. You get more POVs. It does drag a little bit in the middle, but I will forgive it, Your Honor, because the rest of it is so dense, so rich. There's so much that is intentional with this book. There's probably details in here. There are probably character point of views that I just don't even understand the importance of yet, because just book 1 to book 2, I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you were doing with that book and how we got here. And there were so many things in here that I didn't think we were gonna get the reveals of or get resolution on for multiple books, and we got it in here. And so I'm like, there's part of me that's really satisfied and then equally as excited. I'm like, okay, so then where are we going next? I can't wait for the next book in this series. And the only other like top sequel or best sequel that I think I've read is Age of Deception by T.A. White. That's where we started getting payoff in that romance. And I remember like fanning myself and kicking my feet and getting so excited for where this romance was gonna go, because I could see what it was developing into. I could see that spiky banter turning into something a little bit sexier. Next up is new releases that you haven't read yet but want to. So this one, I've actually been pretty on top of things up until I feel like more recently. So these are ones that have come out, I think, in the past couple of months, although one of them, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure when this came out, completely flew under my radar. So we'll talk about that one first. Rise of Ink and Smoke. So this is a spin-off from the Frozen Fates trilogy, and oh my god, the sweat. I just saw myself in the monitor. Did I even help it at all? Not really. Okay, let's move on. So as I said, this one kind of flew under my radar. I didn't even know it was released. And which is crazy because I know so many people that love this series, and I was like shocked that I didn't remember hearing about it. But I've also been kind of in and out of the book community for a couple of the past months. I don't know if it came out during that, but regardless, I can't even tell you about this book like at all because you have to have read the Frozen Fates trilogy. Like even if I tell you the main character that this is about, that's a spoiler. So like I can literally tell you nothing other than it's got like an organized crime type of feel to it rather than more of the survival feel that that first series has. And I think this one is also poly, which surprised me because that's not something Pam writes very often, but I think makes sense for the series. So I'm excited to get to that one. So that's the first one. Second one, we have Devil's Peak by C.L. Menegan. So this, oh my God, I was so excited to see that she was writing again. This is following the Below the Pulse duet. It's part of her Up in Lights series, which is about a band and following all of their romances. So it's all interconnected with the books that she's written prior. I speak great, but this is a dark romantic thriller. It's got small town. This one, the serial ender of human lives that they thought they caught a number of years ago in this town seems to have come back because they're finding bodies in the same spots, and it ends up touching the personal life of the hero. So I don't know too much. I don't even know the heroine's name. So I'm just excited for more of C.L. Menegan's writing because she's one of those people that can write very concisely and very quickly get you to understand someone's nonverbals, someone's body position, what a scene feels like. So I just find her like sentence level writing so satisfying. And then she always has like such great stories. Like her chemistry is But because this is the first in a new duet, I do kind of want to wait for the next one just because I don't know what the release date is for the second book. And I feel like being able to binge a duet just adds more to the feeling and the tension with the romance than when you have a big break between the books. So I think I'm going to hold off on reading that one for a minute, but I am really excited about it and I do really want to get to it. Speaking of duets that went unfinished for a long time, KV Rose finally released the follow-up to the Monster of Hotel Number 7. It's part of her Stitches and Teeth duet, I think is what it's called. The Scientists of Haunt Marin. So the first book in this duet released back in 2023. Like I read it back in 2023 when it first came out and really enjoyed it, but I've had to for years tell people, oh my God, are you crooked? Did I fix it or did I make it worse? I guess we'll never know. So finally getting a conclusion to that book, but because it's been so long since I've read that book, I need to go back, read Haunster. Monster of Hotel Number 7 again, and then read this follow-up book. So I'm not in a super big hurry to get to this one because it's like a little bit more spooky-ooky secret society. So I think I'm gonna save this one for the fall when I'm feeling a little bit more macabre, because this one has like a ton of body horror from what I remember, and there's like snakes and they're on the run together, and yeah, it's kind of like Frankenstein-ish, I guess, because like the dad was experimenting on his son. Oh, and I remember there was like a crazy cliffhanger. Anyways, I'll get to that one at some point as well. Next, we have most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't know if I just haven't been good about keeping track because I've kind of been a little bit removed from the book community recently. I just haven't been keeping up with my favorite authors, or if the year was just much more front-loaded with my favorite authors releasing something then and there's not as much coming. But I do have a few that I'm excited about. But all that to say, I'm probably missing some major ones. So if you know that there's authors that I love and they're releasing a book and you're like, where's that one? It's not on here because I haven't been keeping track of it, but feel free to comment below. But one that I haven't heard really much of anything about, but I saw the character art for this and some of the like blurbs and was very excited about, is Genesis by Amelia Perez. Alien invasion, post-apocalyptic, fifth wave meets Arrival. I love Arrival. And it's set in the Pacific Northwest. I really don't want to know anything more about this book other than that. And so I'm like really intrigued about this one. I think this one's coming out in the next couple of months. One that is coming out from a very beloved author, Fewer Saints by KV Rose. So this is going to complete the duet for Lesser Wolves. Lesser Wolves released earlier this year, and this date has kind of like been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, but I think it's finally releasing like later this month or next month. I can't remember now, but finally getting a conclusion to this relationship because the characters in this, I really am intrigued with how she is planning to play this out, because there's like a very strong connection between two of the characters, but there's kind of like maybe another heroine in the mix. So is it love triangle? Is it poly? I have no idea. I want to see how this all plays out. I want to figure out how all these organized crime elements come into play as well, because they've been kind of lurking in the background. One thing I'll say with this duet though is it's interconnected with Did They Break You? Barely. It doesn't feel at all the same. Hero and heroine from this duet are technically friends with the hero and heroine from Did They Break You? But they're so different to me that I wouldn't even compare them. So just a heads up in case you are a fellow lover of Did They Break You. This feels very different, but I think, like I said, this one is hopefully going to be releasing very soon. And then from my girl CW Farnsworth, Velella. I really hope I said that right. Like I said, I will literally read anything this woman writes. Great characters. So this one came on my radar because I all of a sudden just saw this everywhere on her socials. I thought the next book we were getting was another Kensington like second gen book. So I was caught off guard by this one. And this one's coming out very soon. This one is supposed to be like a mafia Romeo and Juliet type where they're like from rival families and they kind of get entangled and then they run away together. And I think the heroine is some sort of string instrument professional. she is in a symphony and plays professionally, either the violin or the cello, I don't remember, but it's something like that. Reading the description of this book, seeing the cover, I can feel the experience that this book is going to deliver. And I'm so excited. And CW hasn't done a mafia romance in a hot minute. I feel like the last one that I read from her was like Pretty Ugly Promises. That was forever ago. Anyways, that's another one that I'm very excited for. Oh, now the sadder portion of this video, we have biggest disappointments. And she's gotten some love, but right now she's gonna get some hate. Oh, wait, before I get into what these books are, just a reminder. Disappointment doesn't mean that I hated the book. It just means that I had expectations about it and it did not deliver on those expectations. So just keep that in mind. There are books that I hated way more than these. But first up we have by the incomparable KV Rose, Betray Me Once. So this was a thriller. It's MMF, hockey, new adult. I love her character work. Her books stand out to me because of her characters, because of the connection, because of the chemistry between them. This still has that. And I think this really showed off her ability to write an eerie, spooky scene of someone creeping up to the door and there's something on the other side. She did a great job with those aspects, but not much else delivered here. So like scenes would cut off super abruptly where they're sort of like mid-conversation, but it felt like KV's like, well, You got what I needed you to get out of there. We're gonna move on. And you never get any follow-up. So they'll be at a hockey game and you're like, did they win? Don't really get any follow-up on it. I didn't understand how the characters ended up together, like all three of them. There was chemistry all there, but then like how does that morph into the decision that they're all three gonna be together? There wasn't really a lot of conversation. It just sort of like, it was like they fell into bed together. It needed a little bit of emotional work there to be done. I'm not mad that it happened, but that didn't really happen. There was also like some fake outs that sort of happened where it was like, ooh, this character that you've loved this entire time, like very suddenly they tried to make a villain. And it was like, I'm not buying it. I'm not convinced in this attempt. I can feel that this is misdirection. And then with the reveal at the end, it was very clumsily handled. We got the reveal of the person and then it was like, what if though? What if it was this guy? Never mind. That was silly, right? It's still the same guy that we talked about earlier. Or could it be this guy? No, it is this guy. It is this guy over here. So it was the initial person that we talked about. So why do you keep trying to make me believe it's other people when it's been this guy the whole time? So there's that. Oh, and then the last thing, I kind of got weirded out because I love KV, don't get me wrong, but I could feel that this heroine was like a little bit of a stand-in for her, and that just like weirded me out with reading these like sexy scenes because there was just like so many shared interests. Like if you follow her on Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like this heroine's interests are exactly KV's interests. I think bottom line, this book felt like a really, really strong first draft that I'm like, oh my God, if it had just gotten a little bit more development, it could have been absolutely spectacular. It could have been something so good. But let's move on to the next one, which is unfortunately from another author we've also already talked about, and I love her to bits. It's Knotted by Pam Godwin. I have the bind up here because I'm trying to save myself a little bit of editing time, but this is like a dark cowboy romance. It's like friends to lovers, kind of to haters, to lovers, something like that. Anyways, it's Second Chance. This one, I had friends who also love Pam Godwin that were like, I know you said you want to read this. I'm gonna warn you, it's not her best work. And I was like, yeah, but it's still Pam Godwin, so it's still gonna be good. And they're like, no, I need you to understand, this is a very average book. And they were right. Oh my gosh, this was just such an average book. It was like the first 30% were just the heroine going through unspeakable trauma, absolutely horrible things. The plot takes forever to get going. They aren't even like on page together again and like hanging out for like 50% of the book. And then it had some like really weird ideas about therapy. And then the heroine, despite being a complete and total badass, plays almost no part in driving the plot forward other than like going home. That's the only like real active thing that she does to like drive the plot forward. And then the hero was revealed to be too many places at once. I just couldn't suspend my disbelief because I was like, you were a teenager and working a ranch. How are you all of these places? That's just not realistic. I do want to read the rest of the books in the series. I'm absolutely keeping my bind up because like it's still Pam Godwin and I love her, but yeah, horrifically average book, which is just so bizarre for Pam Godwin. And then the last one is a recent one, so I'm not going to harp too much on it. Ashes by Dylan Page, ended up DNFing it. MC Where, MC Who, Where's the Motorcycles? There was one, that was it. Everything in that book happened because of the tropes and the plot and not because it made sense for the characters and their experiences. Emblematic of everything that I hate with a lot of current writing that is very based in tropes. All right, now we have biggest surprise. Oh my gosh, has to go to Play Along by Tiz Tom Ford. The heat's getting to me, y'all. Play Along by Liz Tom Ford. So this was such a shock because I liked Mile High. I found it a little bit corny. I found it a little bit too long, but I enjoyed it. And then everyone was raving about Right Move. It got overhyped for me. I expected it to actually rock my world. And then I found out it was just a book. Then I felt betrayed. And so then I was like, okay, Liz Tom Ford is just not for me, so I'm not gonna read them. And then I just needed, at a point in my slump, I was like, I just need a book that's gonna be a 3-star. I know what to expect. I know that it's decent writing. I'm not gonna love it. I'm not gonna hate it. I just need something that is going to deliver something readable to me. And I was like, Liz Tom Ford can totally do that. And then I binged this book. Oh my gosh, did this hit. Golden Retriever hero without going over the top. He just loves being around her. And he's just kind of a goofy guy, but he's also got trauma going on. So he's complicated and the heroine helps him with that trauma. He He helps her with hers. She's got shit going on with her family. She's deeply misunderstood and like painted as a black cat, but she's really not like that at all. And I just loved this book. It was such a pleasant surprise. I think this was my first 5-star of the year. And then I immediately rushed out and got the City Skyline paperback before it went out of print. Although I think I accidentally got a UK. Oh yeah, I did. I got a UK version accidentally. I don't know how I did that. Other surprises, Pathfinder's Way by T.A. White, or just like that series in general. I had read Firebird Chronicles and I was like, I want to read more from T.A. White. I just think all of her covers are god awful because they're older books. She's indie published. They're very emblematic of the time, right? So I was just like, eeny, meeny, miny, you, basically with her backlist, and grabbed Pathfinder's Way. And then it turned out to be one of my favorite tropes, which is a barbarian fantasy romance. And I was not expecting that because I feel like that is such a hard trope to find because it is not super popular, and it is my favorite. It is my favorite. I love a hero that is a warlord that is on a warpath and then he finds his lady and oh, is he down bad for her? I love that. But then also the heroine, she's like trying to map the region and like go against the like current government kind of in place, and it's like a Witcher style world with these like big scary monsters. I binged straight through this series. It was really, really good. And it's what led me to Warprize, which I think takes a lot of the tropes from this book that I liked so much and delivers on an even better romance. Although it has a diabolical second book that I think is very boring. So you win some, you lose some. And then I guess a more recent one, and so I'll be really brief with this one, is Before the Exhale by Alyssa Wilde. This one's a new adult college romance, kind of sports in that the hero is like the big man on campus because he's like, is he the quarterback? I don't think so. I think I just made that up. Anyways, he played football for college and she has a lot of trauma and he helps her through like a public speaking course that she's really dreading. I think that this one was just such a fun surprise because I was trying to find something really emotional. Like I was just in this moment where I was like, I really need an emotional read. I was trying all these different authors and they were like coming close but not quite delivering. This one just nailed it with talking about trauma in a way that was very realistic, has a very sweet, patient, golden retriever hero that is just like, I just want to be around you and I don't get why you can't see what I see in you, and is just like so sweet and patient with her, especially with the more physical aspects of the relationship. So also has certain tropes, but I think doesn't have them play out how they do in a lot of other books that sound very similar. So I think that this one's kind of like was like a perfect like melancholy summer read for me. It was a fun surprise. I definitely want to read more from this author. All right, next up we have new favorite author, debut or new to you. And first up, obviously you've heard her name come up a ton, T.A. White. She is just incredible with her plotting. You can just tell she plans out her books, and she has these great romances that I think really like aids in the plot, is part of the plot, so well integrated. I just like her series are excellent. They are just so well thought out world, such well thought out characters. She's been really fun. I've binged on multiple series from her, so she's been such a fun find for me. I've only read one book from Lauren Gilley, but I feel like there's no way she won't be a new favorite author. I haven't had such an immediate connection with an author where I was like, this person writes exactly the type of thing I want to read. I feel like she cracked my head open and went, what does Baron want? That, and that. I'm also going to give her a sprinkle of something that she never expected, and then went and wrote the book. I'm just so excited to get into her backlist, which is very diverse. And I know she's got a ton of books. Like I think it's over 40. So to me, I'm like at least one book from her a month going forward because I am going to get through this backlist, damn it. Other ones that I have my eye on, Elizabeth Vaughan. I've only read the Warprize series. I don't know what else she's written really, or much about the rest of her backlist, which I guess is just me saying the same thing again. So I have my eye on her. I have a feeling she could be a really good one. Another one, Constance Fay. Again, I've only read one series from her, and I think she only has one series out, but she made me fall back in love with space operas, baby. Oh, they just hit. I ate her books up with a fork and a knife. So well balanced between plot and romance. Really fun space politics too. And then last one, Jeannie Lynn, because The Lotus Palace was incredible and made me love historical romance again. So I'm really excited because all of her historicals, at least to my knowledge, take place in historical China. which I just think is so cool. And maybe that's the key to getting like historicals, is just not having these books take place in England somewhere. Maybe I just need books set somewhere else. So I have my eye on those three because I think that they're probably going to be new favorites. Next up, we have newest fictional crushes. Wes from Before the Exhale, because he was just sweet, patient, loving, golden retriever without being over the top, extroverted without that being his entire personality, has dreams and aspirations of being a doctor. He doesn't want to continue on with ball. I think there was just a lot that I was like, oh, he's so sweet. And then Graydon from the Firebird Chronicles, like I said, capable, fierce warrior, climbed the ranks quickly, has his ladies back, knows she's capable, will back her up 100%. She goes off on a harebrained plan where she's like, I'm gonna save everybody, you stay behind. And he's like grabbing on to like the back of the spaceship and was like, wait for me. I'm gonna support you the entire way. Knows that she's got it handled 99% of the time, but that 1% of the time that she needs him, he will be there. And he will risk his personal safety to make sure she's okay. Love. And then obviously Mercy from Fearless, strong protector. There is a point where he actually goes full bloodlust feral. They cannot get him to back down, despite the fact that everything has calmed down. Like the big bads are gone. He has taken care of it and he still is guarding her, like with this intensity that everyone's scared to approach him. And Ava call him off. So good. So terrifying to everyone else. But he's just a gruff romantic at heart and he's a reader. Love. And then finally, Otto from Love on the Line. He is trying to approach their relationship with so much maturity because he wants to respect the heroine, but he knows that there is this imbalance of power now. And so he's like trying to keep his distance and be respectful, but notices she's struggling and she's not leaning on other people. And he just continuously steps in to try and make her life easier because she's never going to ask for the help. And he's like, I don't need her to ask. I can see what's going on. I'm just going to step in and help. And anyways, I think you kind of understand the types of heroes that I like. There's only two types, and it's like golden retriever and big scary man that will fuck you up. And that's pretty much it. New favorite characters, Pyrak from The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. He just brought such incredible levity to a very dense book. I just would get to his sections and feel a sense of reprieve where I was like, I can just laugh and enjoy his perspective. And he's kind of like got it down bad for a girl already. And I just really enjoyed every time his name was on a chapter header. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a fun one. And really just helped to break up some of the third act and some of the consuming dread that I felt with that. Kira from the Firebird Chronicles. She's like a Kate Daniels stand-in. Like she's so capable. Like she's a shit talker, but she can back it up. And those are the types of strong heroines I like. And then Yu Ying from the Lotus Palace. I think she was such a unique heroine because she is someone that's kind of in the background, doesn't desire to be in the spotlight, has kind of accepted her place in life, is very practical, and finds a way to use her invisibility, the way people don't pay attention to her advantage to find out more about what's going on. She's very perceptive, and I just found her adaptable and intelligent, and she was just very different than some of the other like quieter quote unquote heroines that you sometimes see. I really loved being in her perspective. All right, next up we have books that made you cry, and per usual, I don't cry very often in books. I don't think I've cried yet this year from a book. They do make me emotional sometimes though. Sometimes I get a little misty-eyed. There's just too much stoic Polish blood in me to really be a big crier. We've already talked about Before the Exhale by Alyssa Wilde. I think just with the amount of trauma in that book, that was a pretty emotional one. That was pretty heavy. Cruel Summer by C.W. Farnsworth, just because there's so much of like breaking apart and coming back together and having to fight to be together. Oh my God. I remember my husband trying to talk to me while I was in the middle of like the third act conflict where it was like super high emotions. And he's like, so anyways, what are we doing this weekend? And I was like, oh my God, can't you see I'm going through something here? Poor guy had no warning. But I think the one that made me the most emotional, Sunday Morning by Julie Ann. This one had a scene that knocked the breath from my lungs. I had like an instinctual knowing that this kind of thing was probably going to happen. Like I could just feel it, and still the raw way in which the heroine responded to this incident, I just was like, so Julianne clearly has been through this. Like, there's no other way you could write such a raw, emotional response. It gives me shivers thinking about that scene. and just everything the heroine has to deal with afterwards. It just, oh, positive note. Books that make you happy. Books that I've kind of like mentioned in passing a little bit, but I haven't really talked about too much. Love on the Line by C.W. Farnsworth. This one, if you loved Culty, but you wish that Culty was like a little bit more talkative, a little bit warmer, please read this book. It's so good. He is a professional German, or no, I can't say it that way. He is a professional German soccer player. He ends up having an injury, has to coach the heroine. They hooked up during the Olympics like a couple of years ago. And so now they're trying to pretend like nothing's happening because they don't want there to be issues with either of their positions. So, are you sold yet? It's so good. I still think about a scene where the heroine was trying to downplay how much this like lucky charm she has means to her, and she loses it. They're about to leave this city and fly back home or drive back home. I don't even remember. And the hero knows how important it is and won't let her downplay it. And it was like, we're going to go get it. We're going to break into this facility. We're going to hold up the bus. We are going to go get this. I'm not going to let you downplay it. Let's go get your lucky charm. This is important to you. It's important to me because it's important to you. The way CW writes chemistry and her characters, oh, so good. And how fun to get two professional soccer players. I feel like it's so rare to get books where both the characters, both the hero and heroine, are professionals. I just really love that. And then The Lotus Palace by Jeannie Lin. This made me so happy because I haven't really loved historicals very much. I keep trying to get back into them and I keep having an okay time and I just can't figure out why they aren't working for me. And this was like unique because it was set in a different place in the world than most historicals are, and there's a bit of a murder mystery, and so it just like caught my attention, and it just made me happy to find a historical romance that I really enjoyed, and so I'm really excited to read more for Backlist and hopefully find even more historicals that I love. All right, number 12, we have Most Beautiful Book You Have Purchased This Year. I don't know what it is. I just feel really guilty if I show you guys any special editions that I know that you can't easily purchase yourself. So I'm not going to be showing any of those. I don't care when other people do it, but it just feels icky to me to do it myself for some reason. I don't know. I'm holding myself to a weird standard that I really shouldn't because I don't care when people do it, but like I feel bad. I feel bad over I'm like, hey, look at this thing I got that you can't get, or you're gonna have to pay out the nose on Mercari to find it. But did I even buy this one this year? I'm gonna show it to you guys regardless. I got a cool 20th anniversary special edition of Twilight. So this is the like dust cover thingy. What do you call these? Dust cover? Sure, we're going with that. And it looks just like it's kind of a typical, like classic. Also has a bookmarker. This is where it gets me. Ready? Gilded pages. Eddie. Gilded pages. Oh my gosh, the glare. Bella. How cool is that? But then you just have the gilded pages when it's just sitting normal. I love it. I'm probably going to buy the entire series in this format because I think it's stunning. And then obviously the Ballad of the Ballad of Falling Dragons. Have I been saying of the Falling Dragons? It's not supposed to be that. Anyways, this cover I feel like doesn't read that pretty like digitally or when I'm like looking at it on camera, but it's nice in person. And honestly, I think what makes this stand out is the sprayed edges, because I feel like these were really well done, where they're not like over the top trying to do too much. There's like good color, but it isn't like muddied. And then it's got some like nice end pages as well. So I think I just picked mine up from Target, but I know you can get this edition a lot of different places. And then last but not least, books you want to read by the end of the year. So I need you all to like take this section with a grain of salt, because I feel like whenever I list books in this section, one of two things happens. One, I don't get to it. Or number two, I get 3 pages into the book and DNF it and never speak about the book again. So let's hope that it goes better for me this time, because I am really intrigued by this book. It is a historical, but I've kind of already talked about it, so it's not going to be that big of a surprise. Shanna by Kathleen E. Woodwiss. Also, this has a beautiful cover. Look at this. I love the contrast here between these like warm colored flowers and this kind of like blue-green forest. And look at this couple. How hot are they? And then this back here, the pirate ship. I just think that looks so cool. I have really high hopes for this. I've heard really amazing things about the writing. It's got a little bit more of an adventure. I've been loving thicker books lately too, because like, again, when I like find a book that I like. I just want to sit in that world forever and ever. So really high hopes, actually. Not in a way that I feel like this is overhyped, but I just like, I have a lot of confidence that this is going to deliver like a really incredible story. So that's the only one that I'm going to put on there. Besides like everything Lauren Gilley writes. That's also on there. All right, those are all the prompts. Thank you everyone for making it all the way through this video. Hopefully I'm able to cut it down because I'm looking at my monitor and it says I've been recording for over an hour. So hopefully this video isn't that long, but I would really love to hear from you at this point about what your reading year's been like. What have you been loving? What have you been hating? Has it been a good year, a bad year? Do you have really great recommendations? Do you have books that really disappointed you? I would just love to hear how everything's been going for you this year. And thank you for making it this far in the video. You are the absolute best. Don't forget to interact with the video in some way, like it, hype it up. If you are here for the first time, or maybe you're a repeat watcher and haven't already, subscribe. I would really love to have you back for more videos, and I really do hope I see you on my next video. Bye-bye.